Welcome to Whining On. I'm here again, Matt Bowden, the Incorrigible Rogue, and today with us we have Brian Reid. Brian, hello. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Brian, can I ask you just to tilt the screen down a tiny bit? At the moment, we're getting kind of this. Uh, so, everyone, we weren't really well prepared for this interview. We started 15 minutes early to get it all done, and then we spent 15 minutes literally sorting out technical issues, and we got online as the video went live. This is Brian's chest. That's the chest of a creative man. You're looking quite messianic at the moment, Brian. Like a messiah. You've got a look of a spiritual healer. Fair enough. Do you find that a reoccurring instance in your life? Yeah. So just before we get in, Brian, I'm going to go and I'm going to share this on all the different sites so everyone can see it. Do you want to just say a little bit about yourself while I'm sharing it out and who you are, what you do, just for people who don't know? And so, how would you describe your specific? How would you describe your specific art form if you're going to narrow it down? What are you? Is shameful. Well, we can get onto them in a bit, but yeah. So you wouldn't describe yourself as a clown, but would you say there's clownish stuff in there? And is that a comic who makes jokes visually? You do, Brian. You do. You're a very funny man. So, Paddy Bramwell was on the last video, yeah? Would you like to, before we go on with this, Brian, can we just set the scene a little bit more? Just for people who don't know, Paddy Bramwell was talking about in the 80s, if I'm right, performing crew. Yeah, and they were, what was the name of the performing crew? Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and she made this today for the first time. People to live with it. Point. So, done all the sharing. Hopefully now everywhere. If everyone would like to comment and talk, we do have some comments coming in. Apparently, Cabana says, as Lindsay says, he can't hear you. So maybe speak a little louder. No, you don't have to. Fine. You don't have to mess with it too much. I think you are coming through, but you might be coming through a bit quiet. We'll keep on the line. We'll keep doing the interview. If it's getting worse, getting better, people let us know. For now, Brian, can you tell us why did you begin? When did you begin? What was the beginning of your street performance career? Yeah. And what year was this again? Hang on a minute. Wait. Can no one hear Brian still? Let me try this. Maybe this will make it better. So sorry, Brian. I'm just trying to. No, you keep yours on. So let's try that. Keep talking. Talk again now. No. 1 second. Oh. Yeah, so one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Okay, I'll hear you now. Can everyone else hear? Is that better? Um, Now I can't hear you. I know people can't hear you because it's coming through my buddy thing. Sorry, everybody. It's in here. What did you say at this moment? So hopefully this will sort it out. Hopefully everyone on to. Okay, Brian, speak to me. I'm kind of shouting now, like everybody. Actually, I'm not saying a word at the moment. I'm just, yeah, okay, like, what should I say? Like, it's warm here today. Well, actually, it wasn't all that warm. It was. I can hear you now. And it's like, oh, bloody hell. What the fuck am I going outside for? Well, I'll have a cigarette, just chill out a little bit, not going out on the street. Okay, so it's working. Yeah. Other people can, yeah. Okay, I'll tell my story again, yeah, because it's like, it's honest truth. So, like, years ago, back in 82, 83, 81, something like that, I was going to the South Bank, and I used to walk through Covent Garden and walk across Waterloo Bridge to go to the South Bank. I was going to see, I always remember B.B. King. It was a great concert.
But on the way, I walked through Covent Garden and I saw this ad called Very Cold. I'll never forget him. And it was the worst thing in my life I ever saw. I was watching it and like I was going, bloody hell, I'm about to do it. So I walked off.
Why was it so bad?
Concert, and I went, that's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It was awful. I walked away saying I could do better than that. Not that I was going to go and do anything sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just thought that was bloody awful. Then, like a month or two later, there was another concert I wanted to go. I can't remember which one it was. Maybe the reason I don't remember is because I walked through Covent Garden again, and from being the worst show in the world, I saw the best show I ever saw called Amazing Mandeezy. And I was entranced with them. So, like, after watching them, sort of thing, I just went back there every day to watch, just basically to watch their shows. There was like two pictures going on, so I walked from one end to the other. If one was just starting and it wasn't them, I'd go to the other end to see who was starting, sort of thing. I just wanted to watch them. They just blew me away. Then, like,
so who did you watch at that time then, when you've gone down to watch the decent people?
Yeah, well, I saw a lot of really good original, well, I say original, really good acts which I've never seen before. A lot of mime artists there. Total, there was like more artists, mime artists than there was jugglers, sort of thing, you know what I mean? There was a few magicians. My favourite all-time magician, Dave Brown. God, Paddy was trying to remember his name. It was so wonderful. He used to make these crazy routines up. How it is. One of them was like how to make a silk disappear, and he had wires everywhere, sort of thing. On switching wires, he had waves, and he used to push his legs together, and this weight doesn't come down to his leg with a little clip on it, and he'd say, "I put the silk on there, and I pull my legs out, and it goes back up." And he shoved it off to his underpants, showing all these wires in there, and it was so funny that everyone thought it was how it was done. But I didn't see the comical side of it, sort of thing. It was just hilarious. But he was so imaginative. It was just a joy to work. Anyway, I used to watch like Making Mandeezy wherever I go. And I used to go to a lot of festivals, Glastonbury before that war, everywhere I went, sort of thing. They were there playing. Then at the end of the festival season, I was back in Covent Garden watching street shows. I didn't see the Mason Mandeezy for like a month or two. Then I saw Chris Adams. And I walked up to him, and because I've seen him in all these gigs, I go, so how come you're not working the streets anymore? Are you making too much money doing gigs? And he went, well, actually, no, we split up. And I went, and I went away, heartbroken, sort of thing. Then, because I was going there every day at that point, because there was so many good acts down there, I saw him the next day, and I go, like, at night time, I thought, like, if I learn how to juggle, I can work with him.
Yeah.
So I walked up to him the next day, and I go, can you teach me how to juggle? And he showed me how to do two balls, one after the other. And he goes, like, you should practice that for a few hours to get the flow really good. Once you've done that, go and see Alex. Good, you know Alex? I went, yeah. Yeah, and I'll show you where to put the third ball.
Is that Alex from, is it the Uncles was their group before?
Alex Dandridge.
Yeah, so...
Alex is the solo show.
Okay, yeah.
Alex is the solo show. Then, like, Mason Mandeezy split up. Dave started up, it was the other half of Mason Mandeezy. He started up Rah Rah Sue. And Chris got Alex together, and they put Alex, Mr. Adams, and Mr. Dandridge.
Okay, cool.
Or Alex and Chris.
So at this point, then you're on three balls.
In the film, we had two really good shows, but I did prefer the Mason Mandeezy, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so I learned how to juggle. I was practicing quite a lot on the streets, basically juggling. Went to a few clubs, well, mainly Oddballs and Charlie, the long and short of it. They used to run a workshop together, sort of thing. And like, anytime somebody walked past and I was on the streets and I was juggling, people just give you money. Oh, that's good. Give you a coin or something like that. It was kind of nice. But if somebody's walking past and they drop, I used to say, oh, bloody hell, Stevie Wonder drop. juggling, and I just came down trying to find the ball like I was blind, and Chris goes up to me and goes, "You should write your own stuff, it's much better." I went, "Yeah, okay." And then I sat down and wrote a show. Um, the show was called How to Perform with Juggling Equipment, and that's the start of it.
And so you were juggling, and you were doing walk-by juggling. So you were juggling, people walking past you, dropping you a couple of quid. You weren't gathering a crowd. You weren't doing a show as such.
No, I was just practicing.
And so
then people go into the North Hall and that, they practice, and if you put a hat out, you get money. In those days, I didn't put a hat out. Kids would be standing around at night time. Their parents are in a bar or something having a drink, and they run backwards and forwards to the kids run backwards and forwards. Then at the end of it, sort of thing, the kids come and give you a couple of quid, and the parents would walk past and go, "Thank you, our kids really enjoyed that," sort of thing. Things like that. It wasn't busking or anything. It was just me practicing and being open to people who talk to me, sort of thing.
Okay, so you started to write a show. What process have you gone into writing your show? You're at the verge, you've learned how to juggle, you've got the basic tools, and now you're writing a show. What do you do? How do you do it? What's the inspiration? You know?
The inspiration was quite hard. Writing's not easy. It's like the worst part of the performing, sort of thing. It's like people practice juggling for hours on end, for years, sort of thing. And it's like the same with writing. That like with juggling, you can see things coming ahead. With writing, you write a joke, you write a little routine, and you don't know until you start performing it. So it's kind of, when you start performing, it's kind of hard when you're learning how to perform and writing routines as well, because you're not sure if the routine's good or bad, sort of thing, or if it's shit or good, you know what I mean? So you got to work all that out, sort of thing. But doing it to a live audience, you kind of realize which is not working. Well, you work out which is not working. I never threw anything away. If things didn't work, I was to put it one side, write something else, sort of thing, and do that and see what works, sort of thing.
So set the scene, Brian. You're doing your first show.
A magician, years and years, and then broadcasters to do magic, sort of thing. You know what I mean? A lot of them did. My two favourite magicians, Dave Brown, I've said that already, and Leo Ward. Leo Ward just did a hack, 100% hack. It was 12.5 minutes long. So in half an hour, he gets 2 shows off. He did the record amount of shows in 1 week in Covent Garden. It was getting to 100.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It just snuffed them out. And he's had his music on a tape, sort of thing, so he used to use the pen to rewind it all, sort of thing. Yeah, it took him 12 minutes to do a show, 2 minutes to set up, and then he's to finish by closing his little box and down and taking his hat off, taking the little bottle sort of thing. He's used a bottle, somebody go around twisting money. Because I was hanging around a lot, somebody asked me once, goes, "Oh, would you mind doing some bottling for us?" Because the girls didn't turn up. I went, "Yeah, okay." So I just go around asking people, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
For money, and it was amazing how much money I was making, sort of thing. So I really enjoyed that. Not always, but it was like, wow.
So what was it like when you did? So you've written your show.
My equipment with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of thing.
So you've written your show. You've written kind of the loose base of it. You go and perform this for the first time. What's it like?
Well, actually, I've basically written the show, well, not all of it, but a big chunk of it, sort of thing. And I was practicing all the time behind on the Westy Axis, sort of thing. I was nervous as fuck, sort of thing. Just wouldn't go out there. Alternative arts, I said to them, I'm going to apply for a license, dude. And they laughed. They go, "Oh, we gave you a license a long time ago." So I had a license before I even did a show.
Wow.
Basically, which is kind of nice. But King has got all my stuff when he starts going out and do a show.
Yeah.
And he goes, everybody knew my life, man. He did all my life, and I did all the clowning bits, sort of thing. It was killing, sort of thing. So I started doing shows from there.
Okay, and
sorry, I've got a drink. Sorry.
it's all right, mate. Okay. Get that healthy juice in you. So when you performed for the first time with this show, you've written a show and you've written the show with the book. So the show, if I'm correct in thinking, is it's a lesson in how to do street performance. You begin the show, you open the book, you read it, and then you go through. So how was it performing with that? What was it like?
I watched this magician who lost his music and he had to talk, and it really felt like he was reading from the instructions. And I went, that's it. And once I got that idea, all the jokes and little routines, I just fitted into it perfectly, sort of thing. So it all went into the book. So the apple eating, all that sort of stuff, and it just all fits nicely, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I built on it. It's like performing. It's not like you don't really stagger in this is it, and that's it. Going to be forever. You kind of carry on working on ideas and putting better routines in, taking out the weak ones. Just keep doing that sort of thing.
And so, what did you notice as you started doing the show? What were the things that came to you as you started writing these pieces of comedy material and stuff? What did you learn from it?
I don't know what you mean. Sort of.
So you've wrote this piece of work, you've got these ideas, you put it forward, and then you've gone to do it, and you've started doing it. What's the things that you've realised as you're doing it?
I'm quite a shy person, still am sort of thing. So performing, there's a good release, getting that shyness away. Not really, just being myself a bit bigger. That was kind of good. In the beginning in Covent Garden, when I started working, because I was around there for a couple of years, sort of thing, training and bottling and things like that. When I started working, I was a bit sterile, so I had to move away. So I went to Amsterdam, believe it or not.
Okay.
Started doing shows there, and it picked my energy up.
And do you think that's because of the people on the pitch?
You perform, you've got to use all this energy, which you don't realise.
Yeah.
It was just a joy just writing stuff and people. At first, when I read a joke and it died, I used to take it personally, sort of thing. It was like, oh God, I read this joke and hate it. And you kind of got to get your head around that sort of thing,
You sounded very healthy.
Being an artist, it's just like having your own voice, basically. Yeah, it's very important having your own voice.
So, what would you say to people? What would you say to people who would disagree with you? People who'd say, "Well, it's about entertainment. It's just whether they have a good time. That's the important thing."
Well, let's just stop calling themselves artists. Call themselves buskers. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, used to be guitarists all over the place playing Bob Dylan songs. You know what I mean? In the 60s, the 70s, and they were just buskers. And if that's what they do, they're just taking hit songs basically or hit routines, and so they're just buskers. They're not artists. I've got nothing against them. Some are like buskers. You know what I mean? And I like their shows. I like their characters. But it's just busking. I could go and listen to somebody playing Pink Floyd songs or Bob Marley songs, but they're just buskers. You know what I mean? They're not artists. I kind of like it and hate it because I see street theatre is theatre, it's art, an art form, and when you're going on art pitches, which Covent Garden was, they're just they're not adding to the culture. They're just using what's already there, sort of thing. Yeah, it's like in the 80s and that, there's loads of great jokes being written by people all over the world, sort of thing. Yeah? And you hear them, you laugh at them, you get to know the people who wrote them, and it was heading to our culture. And a lot of people they're just taking from our culture and not adding to it, sort of thing. I've got nothing against it, but it's not adding to my culture, which I think is an art form, sort of thing. Yeah.
So, if if you had to say,
most of them don't even credit the people who wrote it. Sort of
no, they don't.
And they get uptight when somebody else is doing it. The amount of people I see doing hack, losing their shit because somebody else is doing the same hack, and you go, "What the fuck, man?"
But you know, it's a weird one because, well, you believe it's yours.
I mean, you're taking somebody else's stuff and you're getting uptight because somebody else. I don't know where their head's at.
Well, I'm interested to get onto that point.
It's clear that it's like they're just not adding to our art form, and I do see street theatre as an art form.
So what would you say to new people who are writing? Because I've had this difficulty where because of you. And the reason I have a more original show than I did before, the reason I went on a journey of trying to write, and I don't have a completely original piece of work now, but I've tried to write and I've tried to form a more individual message because of you. It's because of the perspective you gave me about writing and about it being an art form and not just being fucking busking. It was a different perspective that I hadn't seen. And so when I see younger people now, I parrot you. I do the same thing you do. I say, you've got to be fucking original. You've got to write. But I learnt on hack. And it appears...
Not majority. Some people, majority now learning on hack. But most of them don't. Like Queen, he goes, oh, I'm going to write some new stuff sort of thing. Then he goes out there, does like 2 minutes of his own stuff. He gets nothing. And he goes straight back into his old hack sort of thing.
But this is the interesting thing for advising people. Advising people to write in the future is, how does that happen? Is it because people get happy with that to write after?
I think you get like a real response. And like, if you got like 100 people laughing or clapping at what you're doing, even if it's not yours, it does give you a nice buzz. And afterwards, your hack's really good. If you go out there and you're doing original stuff which you've just written, it needs work. And like people, when they're doing hack for like 2 years, it's hard to they don't get the response they want, and their hacks are really bad, and they go, oh, what should I do? And then they go straight back to the hack, and they don't got any timing, learning how to do the timing. Every joke is like, if you put a word wrong sort of thing, it just doesn't work. I've got jokes that I'm still working on sort of thing, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm always playing around with them. They don't do that. They sing the perfect joke, they've left it, totally the same. And it's like, you know, some shows you can put down anywhere in the world and people will have seen it. It's just not enough.
So let's try and see. I'm going to ask the same question again. I'm just going to try and read.
They should try. When I first started writing stuff, it was like I'll be performing stuff. And like I said, I take stuff out and leave to one side to learn how to perform. Then I bring it back and see if the joke works. Sort of thing. Once I learn how to perform, you've got to learn how to perform the jokes. Most people don't do that. They can't go back and just start doing
very hard
new stuff.
Very fucking hard. Very hard. You know? What ends up happening is probably as simple as I do, is you end up making the hack your own. You end up making it still the same.
I'm not even trying, basically.
So
Richard Garrity is like one of my favourite performers and that sort of thing. But he used to hate following Richard Sullivan because they was doing the same hack at the end sort of thing. Richard all bloody day long sort of thing. And he used to moan. Then at the end of it, he goes, "It's my fault. I should sit down and write," which he should have done. Sort of thing, you know what I mean? Now he's spoken a double act. He's spoken a lot better, I think.
If you had to give people advice, if you had to say to someone beginning who was starting busking, starting performing, if you had to give them advice, what would the advice be?
Well, writing is really hard work. If you learn how to juggle, you spend hours, you spend weeks, actually most people spend years learning how to juggle, and you've got to give yourself the same amount of time with writing sort of thing. Practicing writing 3 or 4 hours a day sort of thing. It's really hard sitting in front of a blank bit of paper, but once you start talking to that paper, things do come out. I can write sheets and sheets of stuff. 90% of it's crap, but you can throw all that crap away, move it to one side, and you get a nice little start of a room.
Brian, we dropped out of signal, buddy. We're out of signal. Broadcasting of 0. On. There you go. You're back online again now. Crack on, mate.
Okay. So, how long have we been off? Okay, I'll go back a little bit. Basically, when people are learning, they're learning circus skills nowadays. Before, it was mime artists, magicians, and actors, basically, who worked in the streets when I started, sort of thing. Before that, when I was a kid, I was seeing people escaping from chains and mail bags, sort of thing, you know what I mean? And guitarists, yeah. But like, when you're doing circus, you spend hours a day, every day for a couple of years learning how to juggle. And at the same time, when you're doing that, you should be like, you do it at the daytime or nighttime when you're juggling. When you go home at nighttime, you should be sitting down with a bit of paper writing. It's not easy. It's really kind of hard work. But like, and you do get processed. If you sit down for like 2 years and you've got to write essays every bloody day for like a couple of hours every day for like 2 years, you've been writing some really good stuff, sort of thing, you know? When I do write, I haven't really sat down and written anything for ages, but when I do, I write loads of crap, and it's like you just write pages and pages, and most of it's shit, and then you look at it, and you just push away the shit, and you've got like a nice little style of a routine, a nice little joke, and from there you can build a bigger, better routine from that little bit of diamonds. You can like build on it, sort of thing. But you've got to put the work in, and nobody does that sort of thing. Nobody does. Everybody who juggles have spent hours a day juggling, and not one of them would do a couple of hours a day writing. Now, you're not going to just sit down and write gold all day long.
How do you write for street then? Because street is such a live medium. It feels like such a improv-y kind of medium. How do you write stuff for that?
What, street shows?
Yeah.
You can ask that to any writer, basically.
Well, I am asking any writer. You.
Yeah. It's not easy. You just got to sit down and like. When you first sit down, you look at a bit of paper and you've got a pen in your head. It's kind of hard, sort of thing. You know? Sometimes I just start writing my name, where I live, and just go from there. You just like basically whatever you're thinking, you just write down, sort of thing. You remember stories, what you did happen, sort of thing, and you just make them bigger, sort of thing. You know?
So by the sounds of it, you say to begin, you just need to start writing. That's the beginning of it. Just get that pen moving.
Yeah. And 99% of the time, when you're learning how to juggle, you spend more time picking up clubs than you do actually juggling, sort of thing, you know what I mean? And balls and that. You always spend your over 58 hours. And the same with writing, routines, jokes, that you're just dropping loads of shit, and you just push it away, and after a while, you've got a nice little routine. You just got to keep on doing it. Just keep on doing it. If you go spend 2 years learning how to juggle up to a certain standard, riding units, local, flat road, you can afford 2 years doing that. Why can't you afford 2 years doing the other part of the job, writing?
Yeah. And what do you think of this thing, this difficulty with...
It's not easy, but, it's worth it in the end.
You can't steal a juggling move off somebody easily. You can steal a joke off somebody quite easily.
Well, yes. That's kind of it's kind of like in the comedy circuit, sort of thing. People get fucked over if they stop people's routines. People go out of the way to like give them shit, sort of thing. A girl called Mandy Knight, I think her name was. Like she was doing somebody's routine, and this compare just before she went on. Everyone was pissed off with her just before she went on. Like she's in the back changing the room, waiting to come on and say, he did the whole routine sort of thing. He told the person, not her. And he said, yeah. And she walked on stage not knowing what he said, and she died for like 10 minutes. She stayed up there and walked off because everyone's going, because they just heard all the jokes. But in the comedy circuit, they used to do that. I was with Sparky Mark, and we're talking to one of these girls and that sort of thing. Sparky Mark goes, "Oh yeah, I'm not. I just do old hack all the time, sort of thing." And she was really funny. She used to hate working Mark's club because it was all they come out to the back of the car park, finger and type of stuff, sort of thing for Mark and that. And she was doing fabulous stuff, sort of thing. So it wasn't going down too well, but she was really funny.
Yeah.
And Mark going like that, and we both stepped back there. Well, I couldn't do anybody else's stuff. That's what she said, because it's got to be my own stuff. You know what I mean? She's got on stage. It got hardly any response or sort of thing. But she was talking about when she goes out, she can drink anything, but when she gets on wine, it gives her a rash, and it goes all over the place. It could be really bad. And she goes, this one time, her eye just closed up, went blue, and it looked like I got a black eye sort of thing, just for drinking wine. So she went out and got a t-shirt made with on the front of it. This is her red tea. She goes, I've got a t-shirt with but I love him. And she said that in this crowd sort of thing. I was on the sound desk, pissing myself laughing. But this girl walking around with black eye with a t-shirt saying, but I love him. Everyone's going, no, that was shit, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, fuck it out. Shit. Excellent.
Do you find yourself loving stuff that doesn't hit quite a bit?
She had to write her own stuff, you know what I mean? It's so much better. It's so much better. It's easy stealing jokes, but a lot of people do steal jokes. It takes them ages to get the timing right. I've seen so many acts doing jokes so wrong, but you know what they're trying to say, and half the time it's funny to us because we know what they're trying to say, and it comes out weird sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the audience looking at the weird, and all they're hearing is 4 or 5 people just really laughing, and they think it's working sort of thing, you know what I mean? So even stealing jokes, it's not that easy.
No, you've got to deliver the material still.
Why are you doing somebody else's work? You should be doing your own.
Because they want the love.
Want
the love and the money.
What's that?
They want the love and the money.
They can't stop calling themselves artists. They've got to call themselves buskers. Basically, that's what they are, buskers.
Is that going to be a form of shame then in the street artist community?
Even Johnny, he's playing old hack on the streets, and he's got 1,000 characters which are really strange and wonderful.
Yes.
And he thinks it won't work on the streets.
Well, I watched him try some of them. I watched him
write a joke, and there's how many billions of people in this world? If I can write a joke or a routine that everybody likes it, yeah, come on. You don't. You just write stuff for yourself, and hopefully you're sharing it with other people. Every time I do a street show, I'm not expecting everybody to get everything I say and like it. So I'm hoping there's enough people out there who understand what I'm saying, enjoying what I say, sort of thing. And Johnny's won't do it. He's scared of doing his stuff that he does in cabaret. It might be too vulgar. I think that's too vulgar, sort of thing. It's like Chris Lyne's stick a bloody firework up his arse.
Well, Johnny does have a 6-foot fake penis that he dances around with.
You had Malcolm Hardy, Chris Lyne, and Steve. So they do the balloon dance on the street, sort of thing. Yeah, and they're not the prettiest guys in the world. Stand there naked with a little balloon in front of their penises and bums, sort of thing. You know what I mean? They've got ugly bodies, but it was hilarious. You know what I mean? It was hilarious. So vulgar does work on the streets. Not everyone's gonna like it. Some people are gonna walk off thinking that's disgusting. But who gives a shit about them anyway, because they're gone. But there will be people there who like it. And Johnny won't take that step. It's crazy. And he's doing stuff which he don't like. His audience don't like it. And he hates it. But he's on a place where you can work his material more than anywhere else, get it right for the theatre there. my stuff when I go inside with it, because it's all stuff or stupid. When it's focused, it just works so much better because I've had a lot of time working at it, sort of thing.
But I think is there a shame to die now that there wasn't before? Like if you go out there and you fail, there's shame to die. Like if you go out there, you do a show and it doesn't work.
Now, like I don't give a statement. I'm trying not to swear.
Swear if you want to swear, it's okay.
I don't give a fuck about like dying sort of thing. It's just a show basically. I want to do well, but I know it's not always going to happen sort of thing. So I'm not beating myself up. When I started, every time I did a bad show, I was in the worst place for a long time. You know what I mean? It was just like really hard getting out of that spot sort of thing. And it's like I kind of got used to that feeling. Then when I did my next show and it was better, it to pick me up. And I worked out living your life through that emotional good and bad. It's just not a sort of thing. Either you're on the top of the world or on the bottom of the world. And basically all you're doing is bit of art, which you're showing to people. Some people won't like it. You know, it's like, you know, people do massive art exhibitions and that, and they get written badly slagged off in the press and things like that sort of thing. But like they must feel horrible, but then they carry on doing it, and you know they get good reviews. You've got to put the bad reviews and the good ones as well away because like it just messed up your head. It was hard in the beginning, but it's a lot easier now to think, okay, I died then, it doesn't matter.
And so did you, because you were writing your own stuff, did you die quite often at the beginning? Did you have a lot of deaths at the beginning? You were failing a lot of times, writing it and forming it and getting it to work?
Yes. I did something. The second time I went out myself, and it was really hard. I had a couple of months being really hard because I was so used in Covent Garden. I think I was came down before I even started sort of thing. So I did move to Amsterdam and that changed my, not my character, but my energy sort of thing. There was a nervousness there sort of thing and like that picked up my character and worked on it sort of thing.
I'm interested in the fail rate, just for people who are beginning, who are writing their own stuff, because you know one of the big focus I'd like from this interview, once we can get it all down and digestible, is for people who want to write their own material, who want to be original. I want them to have the perspective of someone who had to go through the process of doing that from the off, which it sounds like you did.
You get kicked in every time I wrote a joke and it didn't work. I did a joke and it didn't work. In the first few years, every time I did a joke and it didn't work, I did feel like I was being kicked in the face. You know what I mean? It was painful. But like you got to get used to it, sort of thing. You got to tell yourself like, well, you got to give your chance to learn how to perform. You got to give your chance to write. It's like every joke is like work sort of thing. You go for everything. Once you've written it, sort of thing, you just sit down and take out the words that are important, make it sharp and clear. I mean, on and on. Nice joke. You got to work on it to get it as smooth as possible, and then like you've done all that and you're performing it, and you just like put a word wrong. Your timing gap might be just a bit strange, sort of thing, and you've got to learn how to do all that as well with it, sort of thing, But like, I work for myself. I write things, and if it makes me laugh when I'm writing it, I think, yeah, okay. If it doesn't make me laugh, I'll push it to one side and work on it, sort of thing. But like, it's got to make me laugh first. I'm not doing it for. I'm going out there doing a show for everybody. I'm going out there doing a show for myself, basically. I want to, when I work, they made me laugh, not because I heard them, because I wrote them and like I looked at it and go, oh, that's funny, and I want to share it. And like you've got to learn how to share it, which is always easy, sort Well, my favourite place to perform is in Dutch people.
And why?
In Holland, like I felt like they waited to the end to judge me, sort of thing. It wasn't like in England. Sometimes you feel like you come to me. I've got to go in my box and put it in my pocket. It counts, sort of thing. You know what I mean? That's what it's for.
And these are all they stumble over.
And I was looking at all the good shows that I enjoyed, and always used one form of juggling equipment. I spent days trying to work out where a volunteer can come into my show. There was just nowhere in that show where a volunteer can come in. It was like really seriously thinking. All my spare time was like doing for a volunteer in my show for like days. And after about a week or so, I went, there's nowhere. I went, volunteer, I haven't sent it back because there's nowhere for him. So I had to drag somebody out, introduce them, back, and there's and like, oh, it's a funny, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, I read two really good jokes in Amsterdam. Another thing I did in Amsterdam as well, I did like, there was kids, they were really brand, walking around ripping shows apart sort of thing. I really enjoyed watching them, and they started ripping me apart sort of thing. And like, I was playing with them, but I was like just standard lines on them for some reason. I was playing with them, then I comes running out of things. Then I did a standard line.
Oh, Brian, you hack.
And then they go, Amsterdam. I was going to say, why don't you fuck there then? You mean? And they went, where are you from? And they went, Amsterdam. And I went, carried on trying to jump. And they wound me up so much. That's the reason why I'm stuck, because you don't do standard lines that don't work. You just fit in. I lost my call with them, sort of thing. I'll never forget them. They wound me up so much that like I thought I was on fire and we bounced off them, hit a few other people. And like, I was so broke, I went over, picked up my phone, picked up and carried on juggling. I said, thank you, that's the end of my show.
Oh, lovely. I bet you hatted well in that show.
Yeah, there are two things in that show I learned. Don't lose your shit. And don't lines because they don't work. And if you just use other people's lines, you're going to run out of lines to say. I think and heckles as a conversation. It's like what they say, you can, it won't always be funny, but like you'd be talking to them, sort of thing, and the conversation. If you just put in one line after another, how many lines can you storm up there which are not yours? Sort of thing?
Well, completely.
It's just people actually 9 times out of 10 heckling you. Anyway, it's because they're getting involved.
100%. People tend to leave when they don't like you.
Yeah. It's like if I didn't like something, I was with somebody, I'll just start chatting to them or walk off, sort of thing. You know what I mean? I don't get involved, sort of thing. They kind of try and do you. Sometimes people try and do you a spade, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Just to mess with you. But like 9 times out of 10, it's that they're enjoying your show and they want to give you. They forget the show and they just get involved, sort of thing.
Well, sometimes for some shows, getting involved is helpful. I like people
getting.
getting involved. I'll be honest. Like, I prefer.
I think was lose their shit about it, you know.
But there's this whole idea about it being sterile, isn't it?
I never saw Chris Lowe you know what I mean? I never saw Chris Lowe say, call the police, you know, or Mason Mandy. They just handle this sort of thing, you know. Captain Keno, I mean, he is one who's got the police called on him, really.
Yeah, well, this is, I think, part of the thing of us being a street performer is the idea that you're kind of focusing the chaos that's going on, and when the chaos comes into the show, you should be surfing that wave. You know, you shouldn't be trying to stop the wave. You shouldn't be putting up barriers. You should be getting out a surfboard.
Yes. Yeah. Some people get some people get a bit outside when people interfere with it. But I don't know. Spunky Mark's craft, you know what I mean? If you heckle, like Mark's on their case, tell them to get out, you know what I mean? It's like,
but modern stand-up has become, I'm presenting this piece of prose, and you're going to listen to this piece of prose uninterrupted.
I see some comic online all the time. It's putting people down, but it's like arguing with them, it's not being funny, it's like having a go at them. And he thinks like it's a theatre, and you go in there, you've got to sit and listen and laugh at the appropriate places and that. But I was part of places like up the creek and that sort of thing, you know, where you was like involved sort of thing, you know what I mean?
It was like up the creek, it's like the Lion's Den, wasn't it? Was that in Edinburgh? Was that the one in Edinburgh where people got spat on and beers thrown at them and all sorts of stuff?
I don't know. He did it. And he did a tour sort of thing as well at one point. He's doing lots of different shows and that. This is you're going to cut out. People heckle him sort of thing, and he goes, yeah, okay, fuck off. Yeah, fuck off. He just tells him to fuck off. Then somebody shouts like out, he goes, I didn't hear what you said, but fuck off anyway.
And the funny thing, I suppose, about that is that it's a build-up. And so when they say, I didn't hear what you said, it feels like something different's about to happen and then slam back into the fucking... Yeah. So if you had to change the world of street...
He's one of my favourite comedians, Malcolm Hardy. He did incredible stuff and that sort of thing.
Okay. What kind of stuff?
Well, he did the balloon dance. I don't know if that's his or not, but I thought it was something. He did in Edinburgh. He got a guy out on stage. He'd been wearing a kilt. He'd make him open his arms and legs, and he'd dance round him like
yeah.
And right at the end, he'd just sit down towards the guy's head with his kilt sort of thing, but he'd never had like pants on. So like the guy sit on the floor sort of thing. This bum and like it must have been horrible. And it's everything just coming towards his head. And laid down. I saw it. It was really funny. Just pushed the head into his bum sort of thing. I thought, oh, that's so funny. I just thought like it must have happened by accident, but like he did it. And I went back to watch the show about 3 times, and every night a different person's made on the stage. Instead of calling away, they always sat up and just pushed their head. Yes, so funny.
So, Brian, we got a question. Adrian Barker's asking you a question. He's saying, what are the performers influenced you? Question mark. Who are your favourite comics? So let's do performers first. We can do comics second, or if you want to intermingle, you can.
Comics or performers. Chris Lyon, Chris Evans, Dave.
Can I ask you a favour? When you give the names of people, just give a brief description of why.
Chris Evans, Chris Lyon, yeah. I've seen, you know how big the West Piazza are, and sort of thing. I've seen them, well, in his first show, it start off like, when it's there, he just played the banjo and sing until it gets enough edge, and then he starts doing sketches. and like, and it built it naturally, sort of thing. You know what I mean? And he used to do interference, not follow. He used to get in people's ways and that sort of thing. And he used to do it kind of really naturally. Like it felt like they just bumped into each other, sort of thing. You know what I mean? They was just controlling this sort of thing. But I've seen him lose like half the piazza, but half it just leave, and he just didn't think high. He just carried on, and it just filled up again, sort of thing. And it was doing amazing things. He get like 6 people out and do like this huge statue sort of thing, put them in all these pieces, and women hanging off these guys and things like that. And he just hang up his coat on it, sort of thing, and just leave them there. It's just shit like that. He do like chuck up big with snow, then chuck up big paper and go big snow.
It's a silly visual joke.
Yeah, it's just really simple stuff. Then, he used to like these guys put a firework up his arse and signal his focus as like show business. Yeah, it was hilarious.
On the street.
It's like one of the best strips ever, sort of thing. A strip off, he pull his sock off, there'd be enough one of them pull off. There'd be like 3 or 4 socks under one foot, sort of thing. And the other one, he just pull it off, and it'd be just one sock. You get down to like these bloomers, sort of thing. Suddenly goes, what's wrong with you, class A bastards? I'm out here stripping off down to bloody slaves, bloomers, and you're just sitting there like, say valley or something. What's wrong with you? And he just turned around, go to his bag, bend over it, and the bloomers just split open so you can see everything. And he pick up a firework, stick up his arse, light it, and sing there. Stand there with a firework stick out his arse singing, there's no Christmas like show Christmas. You can't beat that, it's just hilarious.
It sounds like an amazing thing to see live.
What's that?
It sounds like an amazing thing to see live in the street in Covent Garden when it was at its cultural heyday.
Yeah.
So who else then? So you got Chris Liner was one of your influences. Who else have we got?
Most of Mandesis, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be performing, basically. Yeah. They're excellent. There's some really good performers, but I can't work for a bit like them personally. John Feely's one of those.
Hey, John.
What's that?
You said John Feely. I said, hey, John.
Yes. You might be watching, Malcolm Hardy, he did stand up, he did some really simple jokes. Probably my favourite jokes ever, which I talk sort of thing, I tell people. The guy who invented the drawing board, he fucked it up. Who do you go back to?
They're nice, silly jokes. I mean, my comedy's always horrible.
He goes, I met my wife in Australia. I said, what the fuck are you doing here? His jokes are really simple sort of thing, you know what I mean? I really liked him. Tommy Cooper, Morecambe Wise, the 2 Ronnies.
Well, the 2 Ronnies particularly. You look at which was the writer in the 2. Corbett's it's Ronnie Barker, yes.
Yeah.
Ronnie Barker. He was an incredible writer. When you watch the 2 Ronnies, you look at some of the linguistic play in the episodes. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's very good. They were kind of like second rate to the Morecambe Wise sort of thing, but they're both very good sort of thing. Both sublets were very good. That's why they were both on the TV at the same time, because they were both excellent sort of thing.
Well, I think, the Ronnies was the better writing.
What's that?
I think the Morecambe and Wise were fun. Ronnies are the better writing.
I'm not sure about Morecambe and Wise. I think they did write, but I think when you do TV, you've got to get writers thing, because writing an hour special is like a lot of work. So I think you've got to get a team in. I think a lot of comics, Joe Bonus, like what you know as well, sort of thing. She was very good.
And so you said before you were working the comedy clubs. You were in that scene in the 80s. What? Why didn't you go into doing more comedy?
I was weird because I had like 2 agents as well as getting me loads of work, and I wanted to sit down and like write a book. I tried doing that, but I was just written loads of pages with just I'm just reading it and going, God, what am I talking about? Yeah, so I had to throw it away something. But I told my agents, like, and actually one of the agents is a really good agent. I've got his name. But he sent me to this gig, and I arrived at this gig, sort of thing. And like the first thing they said to me goes, you know, like we didn't want to book you. We had no choice in the matter because he wanted the money. Wanting to be paid if you didn't turn up, so we're booking you on. That was just turned up and I started going on stage and I said that to them and I went, oh, I don't need this. So I did the gig with all the staff hating me, sort of thing. And I thought, okay, I don't want you, sort of thing, you know what I mean? And they wanted to cancel it for one reason or another, nothing to do with me, but my agent wouldn't let them, which is a good agent.
Yeah.
That like, I didn't know anything about it. He could have told me that shit, you know what I mean? I could have said, okay, fuck it, take the money. You know?
So was it something in the world you didn't like then? Was it something of that comedy world?
Well, I was living in Malcolm Hardy's house, one of my favourite comedians, sort of thing. So I had this other agent as well, sort of thing. He's getting me loads of gigs. So I went on tour with Incognito, I think. He was very fun. He was a bit bitter as well, sort of thing.
He went out well. I don't know how he's to speak.
I really like him.
I'm sure he's a friend.
He's I hate Eddie Izzard. And he was just slagging him off non-stop, sort of thing. And I go, look. I went, Paul. I go, Eddie's a friend of mine. And he went, sorry about that. And like, he never slagged him off ever again in front of me, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, he went out. I don't know how he is talking because I know a lot of people are friends with Ian here who are listening. I don't know what people feel about it. Do you think the way he went was the way he wanted to go? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
I don't know how he went to the truth.
He died on stage. Incognito died on stage. Yeah, he had. I think he had some existing medical condition. And apparently, when he was doing the set, he said, "Wouldn't it be fucking funny if I died right now?" And apparently he died on stage there and then. People had to go on stage and tap him and fucking. Well, this is the interesting thing. Drawing all these points together, Tommy Cooper did the same thing. But then when you look at Morgan Wise, what was the tall guy with the glasses? Which one guy was he? Is it Eric Morecambe?
Yeah, he didn't die on stage.
No, he nearly died on stage though. He watched. He was in the audience when Tommy Cooper died on stage. And apparently the story goes he turned around page a few years ago. Apparently she died. He was he stage.
You don't go. Yeah. And
He lived not a bad way to look at the world.
yeah, I guess so. It was a bit awkward when I was driving back to the gig with him.
Explain.
Yeah, other than that.
What, you were driving back? Hang on a minute. It was awkward with him driving back because you were worried that he didn't care about whether he lived or died and he drove like a madman, yeah?
I went with it was just me and him. It was a private gig and there's some hotel thing sort of thing. They paid good money. so we did it. But like, he doesn't take a phone with him when he's doing his gigs and that sort of thing. When he gets close to the place, they see him make a phone call from a phone box or something, phone up his agent, say, yeah, I'm about 10 miles away, no, I'm really there. They go, no, we're flying up, yeah. He didn't give a fuck, basically. Anyway, we turned up to this hotel thing, and this guy turned up and go, oh, I've been waiting for you, well done, thanks for coming there. Anything you want, just tell them to put it on the room 9. So I went, I was with him, he's an alky, I was with him. He goes, you can have drive back, Brian. I went, yeah, I can see that, sort of thing. And like, before he got on stage, he got drunk. But just because it was just there, you know what I mean? Everything you wanted was just there. So him and Jerry, I was like, Jerry fell in the back of the car, fell asleep, passed out in the back, sort of thing. His car was a bit dodgy start, sort of thing. I got it starting, driving out of the ground, went the wrong way, tried to turn round at this little junction thing. It's in the middle of nowhere, little crossover country road. Started it. It won't start again because it was dodgy starting. And he goes, I'll start for you, Brian. I went, okay. And he goes, I get out. I got out. We got in the driver's seat, started it. I go, okay, get out. He went, no, I'll drive. I went, no.
You were fucking pissed.
And he goes, get in, otherwise I'm just going to leave you. I got in. We started driving. He goes, I'll show you how to fucking drive. I just started going really fast. I put my seatbelt on, tying it up and going, God. We got back to the hotel and he went straight into that bloody wall. Sort of thing, just smashed it all up. It was like a hedge type thing. The whole front of the car was smashed up. It was kind of weird. There was like no glass in these lights, but they were still working. Sort of thing. It was like the whole front of the car. Just the only person that got out of the studio was on the back seat. And I went to the fence. I just missed the fence. I just didn't realise sort of thing about it to the fence. And so it's like, yeah, that's it. They spent ages talking to me about it sort of thing. In the end, they left us. So we was like in the middle of nowhere in Walthamstow. Anyway, we got a taxi to the train station. I think we got the first train back in the morning sort of thing. We were tripping like fuck. We're sitting in the first class, making joints, and it's just three of us sort of just smoking, really tripping and that. And all these people just kept away from us. Nobody came up to us and saw something. They got back into London and we just walked through sort of thing, just starting to come down. It was like, yeah, that was a night and a half.
It sounds like it. It does.
It was very funny. It goes like, it's the walk on the stage. Goes, oh, you probably never heard of me now. You're pulpit right. I like funny. You're going to join a night. And lucky for you, I'm fucking hilarious. Have you had jokes for you? What's brown and sticky? It's thick. Just come on. Like all these,
intentionally bad jokes.
He used to say like that. Oh, yeah, just half a dozen really bad jokes. But he had some really excellent jokes. I'm trying to remember them sort of thing. He goes, say what you want about paedophiles. At least they slow down when they're driving past the school.
Is that his?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it. It's travelled because people hear jokes, they tell jokes.
Yeah. Artificial stimulation when they get older women. It goes like there's a 60-year-old woman. Yeah. Do you think it's a good idea that artificial is let you go a baby? It's like really that sort of thing. Then they did a best sword fight thing ever sort of thing right at the end of their career. The sword fight was excellent. It's because they so hated each other by the end of their partnership, really trying to
Hurt each other.
hit each other. You have to get your blocking otherwise. It's hilarious. Eddie started doing stand-up and doing solo stuff in Covent Garden. Basically, he was doing an escape from a 5-foot unicycle or 6-foot unicycle, something like that. But it wasn't really. It was just fake and talk bollocks. What he used to say.
The same as anything in it. It's the hook.
Talk bollocks for like 20 minutes, sort of, and then escape from electronic mangles.
Well, you don't set up a slack walking line because you want to do slack walking. No, you set up a slack line because you want to do a show.
Yeah.
It's the hook.
That's what he did. Yeah. You want to come up with Friday night and volunteer sort of thing. And get his volunteers, call them Rolands. Everybody came out is to say they're Roland. One good thing is you don't have to remember the name. When you get somebody else out and you call them Rolands as well, people find it funny sort of thing because you're repeating it sort of thing. And it was just a hilarious show sort of thing. It's get a bucket, make the guy hold it over it. When he's back to the last knife between his legs sort of thing, hold a bucket. And you have a little hole in the bucket sort of thing. So when you hold it at a certain angle, all this water comes out. One goes, oh, good God. And he look at the bucket and he goes, swings himself and just throw all this water over people. And it was just a funny show sort of thing. It was very good.
Yeah, sounds it.
Very simple, little show. You have to watch it. It was hilarious sort of thing. It was like
so we're reaching an hour and 15 minutes. At some point, not now, but at some point we'll tie it up. And just to bring it onto a theme that we're going through for the rest of the interview, if you had to change the world of street performance now, wave your magic wand, the wizard that you are, and fix the problems that we have nowadays compared to the problems that were there back in your day, what would you do?
Well, the first thing to say is in this country and wherever else you go, if you go into big cities, you might get shit from busking here and there sort of thing. if you go to small towns and that, you can argue the point and get away with it and get your show out quite regularly, sort of thing. That's all over Europe. In this country, you'll have to do it anywhere, as long as you're not causing us blocking the highway and that sort of thing. But like on the main pictures, I think our band will hack. That's how fuck off back to sports and doing the hack there, and make less performers back, but like make it just original, different shows sort of thing. Back in my day, there'd be like 3 or 4. There was like 4 or 5 different mime artists, and every one of them was different. You know what I mean? You've got to connect that those mime artists. It was like you was watching a show, and it was totally different from that show, different from that show. And the same with the jugglers. Every juggler you watch was totally different, sort of thing, because they wasn't doing hack. They was all doing what they wanted, sort of thing. John Lee's one of my heroes as well. He was a flat rope clown, sort of thing. He was very funny. Did the freestanding leather, a bit like how Phil does freestanding leather, but he used to bounce all over the place. He used to go across the split rope. It was like a leather so much. He'd go over it like 2 steps, sort of thing, and he'd be on the other side.
Mixing.